guys, so I wanted to make a quick video about different tools that I use currently in my setup. Um, I use a lot, so I thought it was going to be kind of lengthy, and really the primary tool that I want to explain here is Raycast, and I want to make this short. I know there's like a lot of blowout in YouTube, kind of just always talking about Raycast, which it's fine because it's a great app, but I never see them kind of just really use it. Like, what are the practical uses and like where you could actually speed up your workflow or kind of have certain things work out of the box, like what works out of the box, I guess. All right. Anyways, so Raycast is kind of like Spotlight Search on steroids, I would call it, right? And essentially, it just does way more. Spotlight Search is kind of getting there, but Raycast still does a lot of things like with extensions and stuff like that. But yeah, so you can customize the key to open it up, but it's for me, it's just command space right now. And there's a lot of things you can do with Raycast. First things first is um, you can essentially bind. This is how I kind of use it. So I'll explain like how I'm using it. But you don't need the pro version. There are some cool stuff if you ever want to check that out, but you don't need the pro version. I won't talk about it in this video anyways. Um, but what you could do is you can bind. So certain hotkeys can actually open up specific apps. Now, I'm on a 16-inch MacBook Pro, uh, but I hate full screening. I mean, I hated it before I found Raycast, but I like this kind of setup here because it allows me to switch between my apps super quickly. And so, the, I experimented with different flows, but essentially, one thing I 100% recommend is to bind your main apps that are always on or like are you swap between. Bind them to keys. Bind them to keys. Like I got data grip on my Hyper Shift G, Discord, Finder, my terminal. And so like binding them, like you can switch so quickly. Another thing that I find really cool is you can bind essentially binding like your movement keys. And so you can kind of do something like this, right? However you kind of want it to be. And so like you can kind of switch switch that if you really kind of needed that, or make it big, bring it back, make it big again. And so like there's like so many customizations. Like one thing that kind of sucks on Mac that's not on essentially is Linux supports is tiling managers, right? And now there are some tiling managers for Mac, but there's some security things that you kind of have to open up. And on top of that, I'm actually not a big fan of tiling manager. I've been liking this kind of because I feel like tiling managers you really got to get into the nitty gritty of shortcuts. But with this kind of setup, you can kind of just go ahead and just be switching between apps, which is super cool. Another thing I also use is clipboard. So this is absolutely a goated feature. And essentially, if you open up your clipboard here, you can see you have a huge list of all your previously copied things. This could be any type, by the way. It could be text, images, files, links, colors, you name it, it's kind of there. And it's so useful for just like copying things and then knowing that you're about to use it in like 2 minutes or a second or a little bit later, but you need to copy a couple things. And so you just copy it to your clipboard. And if you use Vim, you can just, you know, navigate between them with Vim bindings, things like that. And so it's super useful. Another thing I wanted to mention too is the plethora of extensions that it has. So they have a store essentially, and then this store, sorry for my Discord, but they have a store. In this store you can get anything you can think of built right into this app right here. And so for example, like I have some brew commands that I can run to, upgrade my packages or so on. I also have something to lock my keyboard. I have a color picker. I'll use that a lot actually, to be able to pick a color here and say, if I want this exact color or this exact color right here, and I can go ahead and pick it, and then it saves it to my clipboard, which is right here. And so I go ahead and use it or whatever I need to do. Also, check this out. If you do Command K, And you go to the bottom here. I'm sorry. Let me go here to copy color as. You have all the different types of formats. So it's super sick. I mean, I don't mean to glaze, but it is really, really cool. Um, and yeah, there's just way more. Like there's Tailwind stuff. Like you can go down the list, right? And there's a lot of things to improve your specific workflow, which is probably a big reason why uh, in videos they don't really explain how they use it, right? Because it's like so catering to the person that's gonna use it. But I hope like maybe the app switching, so you don't have multiple virtual spaces or like full screening everything. Oh my God, and using your mouse to like swipe left and right with just that crazy animation that always happens. This way you're just like ready to go and moving around. Is there anything else that I want to talk about in terms of Raycast? Oh yeah, so Raycast also does like if you ever know what a hyperkey is, essentially Raycast has some advanced stuff for creating yourself a hyperkey. So I have it in my right command. This is a set of a combination of keys, right? And it's like your pretty much your meta key, right? Your key that is like above all keys. Like it's you could use it for shortcuts and things like that. I use my hyperkey extensively for opening up my apps, like specific hotkeys using my hyperkey, right? And so, yeah, overall, Raycast is a great tool, and I would 100% strongly suggest just checking it out and then seeing what you could do with it, because there's a lot. And I definitely didn't cover it here. But yeah, there's note-taking apps. I take notes all the time. Snippets, and then just a bunch of hotkeys, aliases, things like that. Yeah, Raycast is a dope app, and one of my go-tos now, if you ever get a new laptop, this is the one thing you must have. Cool. Thanks, guys.